Welcome to Being Humankind, with your hosts Brian, Mike, and Neely. We explore what it means to be human in a time of disconnection.
So obviously, there's been a lot of events last year that, political, social, pandemic-y. How have those events changed the way that you value people?
So I thought that I was immune to rhetoric and propaganda. I thought that and I won't get into what I believed or what I didn't believe, but I thought that the other side were the ones who were believing all the propaganda and rhetoric, and that I was not susceptible to it. And then something in all of that happened, and I realized all the places I was wrong. And that, first of all, that humanized the other side in a way that I could not have possibly imagined, because clearly they were the dumb ones, I thought. And I changed my opinion. I wouldn't say that I switched political teams, but I changed my opinion heavily in the middle of actually, at one of the times in it where it was the most heated, where people would have been least likely to have changed their opinion, was when something happened and I went, oh no, I think the other side's right about this. And that was extremely humbling. I'm still processing how wrong I think I was about a few issues. Because I was vocal. I was really, really vocal about how strongly I stood on the side that I stood. And to switch my perspective so heavily on so many, not all, but so many of the issues, that wrecked me. And it wrecked my ability to kind of see this, to kind of conform to this tribalism. We're all susceptible to it, right? We're all susceptible to rhetoric, and we get a lot of half truths, which I don't think I realized before that half truths are more dangerous than lies. If your side says something that's true and then relates it to something that's untrue, it becomes way more believable. And to witness myself doing that it made everybody else okay. Everybody on both sides is just fine by me at this point, because if I was that misled about particular issues, then I still think the other side was misled about some other particular issues, but I was too. And so now I'm kind of like, okay, you know what, you believe what you believe. I hope that we can all hold our truth loosely and sort of say, like, this is what I think is going on, and I'm open to being proven wrong or to being shown that I'm wrong. I think the other thing, and I was saying this throughout this whole time period, very rarely, even with strong political disagreements, very rarely is the disagreement a disagreement of values. We think it's always values. It's more often a disagreement in what we think is happening in the world. It's, I think this is happening, and you think that is happening, and because we're operating at this point, we're operating under separate sets of facts. That's really concerning. We may have the exact same values and come to opposite conclusions. And I think everyone's missing that. Something that's less right now and less sensitive, so I can feel more comfortable talking about it. There was a time where the Tea Party was new and Occupy Wall Street was going on. And I remember seeing them both. This is the original Tea Party because it changed over time, but I remember seeing them both and going, you guys hate the same people. Like, one of you saying it's corporations and the other one's saying that it's big government, and they're all buddies. So I never understood why Occupy Wall Street and the Tea Party movement didn't get together and then move forward. Both of them were standing in their circles going, those guys got it all wrong. Like, you're talking about the same people. And I think there's a lot of that. I think there's a lot of that. So that, it definitely, that moment really, really changed. And it was crazy is I didn't change my general political perspective. But at one point, I didn't change my general political perspective, but I changed who I would have voted for. And that was crazy because I was dead set in one direction. And, that's the narrative we're all believing is that can't happen because the other side's evil. And so that's rough. We need to get over that. It's funny because it comes back to that tribalism thing. It comes back to this notion that I think people are missing the fact that tribalism is the natural state of humanity, because none of us lived through a time in which tribalism was the main state. I don't think we realize that up until the point in which this idea that people were created equal came into being, up until that was a radical idea at the time. And so we had this, so many hundred years ago, if the king said, you know what, I want that person to die, everyone went, oh yeah, okay, because we're not equal. He's the king and we're down here, and yeah, the person just needs to die. There's no rules about how that works. It's just, this is how it goes. Because the concept that all people were created equal hadn't evolved yet. And I use that word purposely, evolved, right? It hadn't evolved yet. And then we came up with this idea. And I don't want to be overly focused on one culture, but it's a Judeo-Christian idea that comes from this idea that that man was made in the image of God, right? Or that that every person has a spark of the divine in them, or it was used in the Constitution, right? So all men are created equal. That this notion was a radical, crazy idea when it was said. And it resulted in people suddenly thinking, oh, we're supposed to treat each other as equals. And then we did an experiment with that. And we ran that experiment for the last few hundred years. And we didn't do it perfectly, not even close, but we did better at it than we had ever before in human history. And now we're like, let's go back to the tribalism thing. Like that, we just don't, those stories don't really have any value. Oh yeah, they do. And to me, that's where the problem is. We're devolving here. We took our greatest invention ever, the scientific method. We used it for a while successfully, and then we said, oh, you know what, maybe it can replace this whole other way of thinking that managed our society. And what it's replacing is the idea that all people are created equal. And it's replacing the idea that everyone is made in the image of God or has a spark of divinity in them, whatever that means. It doesn't even have to be religious. It can be symbolic, but we're devolving right now. And I watched myself do it. And then I pulled myself back from the precipice because someone showed me a set of facts that didn't agree with my set of facts, and they were right. I checked their facts. I was like, oh, well, your set of facts make more sense than my set of facts. Now I'm screwed because my set of facts have become my modern religion, my political religion. And now I had to abandon my faith in my political side. You know, we're there, you know, and people, there needs to be a giant flashlight on this because we're moving that notion of a spark of the divine in every person. That is cultural technology. That is something that evolved over the course of thousands and thousands of years. We had it, we employed it, we built a justice system on it, and then we went, nah, never mind, that's just part of a story. And even people who know that are running down that rabbit hole because tribalism's our natural state. Humanity's natural state is tribalism, and we should not be in that state because we need to move past it.